Already. Sunset Ravens versus Bros starting off. Then we're going to Bro 2 versus IUI. Right, apologies. We are going straight into this. Sunset Ravens on the offense, going off very strong in the beginning. Good instant denying movement from that flashbang. Both used already, not much gained. However, they are entering sight. Ventara swinging in. Cero on the roam here. Gets one. Ventara Jr. on the wall as well. Spike Jr. out here in vending, and Cero back in Tetris. Great picks. It's a very aggressive push there from Sunset Ravens. A lot of utility used very early on. We saw the double flashes coming in from Ventara. Interesting choice to use it while the instant was still active. I would have waited and then swung off the instant. Swung off the flashbang. Little things like that could make a difference. Not sure if it made too much of a difference there. They still did push. Not the greatest. Spike Jr. was on the roam, and they were able to get the person that was still outside. Not the greatest way to start or finish the round. We are on top floor now, and Cyril is here. Seems he'll make some noise. Gets a pick, but Iconic there to get the refrag. Iconic, another from the hatch. Player advantage for SR. No other players upstairs, however, they don't know that. And now they're going to go for the other hatch in War Room. Ventar in the corner just barely avoids instant. Dreary in sight is able to get one. However, refragged by Iconic. That's a 3K so far. They do have EMP though. David is able to get Icon. However, Iconic is able to get a 4th kill. They could ace, and there it is, an ace in response to the first round. Great play there from Iconic. They were able to get refrags for teammates and really effectively blow the hatch to get picks, and amazing gameplay. Unfortunately, he did kind of bait the teammate that was holding con for him, but he was getting EMP planted. There's not much he can do about that. Why has this been happening? I can't see my own streams. We do see one playing close here. Drone will likely point it out, maybe along with the trips. No, they will not point out the trips, and they do get a pick. However, refragged by those said trips. Very good trip placement. Drone did not see them. They also need to be careful for this player in hallway. Flashbang goes out, but David on the roam is able to get that. Nade goes out. Will stop Iconic from swinging, though. Unfortunate team nade. Player advantage for Bros. However, no, and health advantage, sorry. Along with, no. SR does still technically have better guns. One is, ooh, great cover there. The player in storage took out the door blocker, but, ooh. It goes down from center and smoke on door. Icon is in sight, but Spike Jr. is able to get that pick. Now it's left to Iconic. 1v4 clutch. 2 down. He's 1 HP though. This is going to be a tough clutch to pull off. He will be sticking to storage. No audio given yet. Bros could be questioning right now. And the timing just doesn't work out. Spike Jr. was holding the ankle at the right time, and Bros gets round 3, making it 2-1 in their favor. Sunset Ravens economy isn't going to be terrible. However, it's not going to be great. They're not going to be able to very easily afford full rifles. And we see that they're going with 2 rifles, a Spectral, and an RCP. No, Vantara has opted to get a rifle. No, attachments, sorry. An SMG, 2 rifles, and not sure what it is getting, but not the greatest economy right there. However, Icon did do a lot of damage to Bros. He got 2, maybe 3 players. I'm not sure who got the 3rd player there. However, they're not going to be able to full buy. They're going to be forced into 2 SMGs. Granted, it does look like they do have enough money to buy rifles if they wanted it. However, in this new meta with season, I believe it was introduced mid-season, comp season 4, we have been seeing a lot more half buys coming out. Saving your money a little bit more seems to be a little bit more effective. And so far, a good execute from Sunset Ravens, using flashbangs to clear out some space. However, there's a static in the way here. Instant goes out. That's going to get a lot of damage. 2 picks, actually. Cyril gets Yuta and Iconic one. Vantara is able to get refragged, though. They do have to be careful for the one on door, though. Instant goes out. Vantara Jr. will trade with Vantara, and wall is now blown. However, they're playing very aggro on the side of Bros. 1 on wall, and David swings out, gets that Spike Jr. just before that, swinging the door and getting the one in the corner. Very good picks there from Bros. Bros has been doing a very good job on defense so far. We have seen them actively denying any form of sight hold so far. Except for that one round Sunset Ravens won, they haven't really been able to get into plant. And they're doing a very good job. the utility has been very good. The not having too many roams. We've seen mostly on site until the pushes actually started, where they get close to the walls and entryways, and it really stops Sunset Ravens from entering. Very unique playstyle. However, it does appear we will be seeing a unique push coming out here from Sunset Ravens. Maybe possibly going for Hatch and Conference. That is what this is called, right? Okay. I'm assuming it's Conference. Not much utility as far as I can tell. Maybe an easy entry for Sunset Ravens. Hatch is blown, and ooh, unfortunate. All four site players are on B. Ventar Jr. gets Yuta there in sight, and there's now a player on the hatch. They're gonna have to be careful. Player on bomb is able to get planter, drops hatch. Iconic is in a 1v5. Iconic is able to get a pick, however, it doesn't appear Bros will be getting very aggressive here on defense. They have EMP and a really big player advantage. Ooh, good play style there. Good wall banks. Gonna get a little bit of chip damage on Iconic. Still at 1v4, 45 seconds. He could try to save. He will have to be careful for the players now in Museum. He's getting pinched out of this corner right now. He's able to get a couple shots, but Vantara is able to get the pick. Very good play there. Even though Vantara was baited by the hand swinging, they were able to swing out and get the pick as Iconic was running. We're now going into the halftime round. After this, sides will be swapped and economies reset. SR is likely going to be hoping for at least one more round. You don't tend to want to be going into second half with less than 2 rounds. Very slow push so far. Sunset Ravens has really been taking advantage of that drone before making any major plays. Foam is now on the wall though. It's is also going to be getting the other wall over in assembly. However, they go down very early. Unfortunate. Yuta is able to get a 2K. Instant goes out. That's going to deny some movement. EMP is getting planted, and Ventard goes down covering it, and now two of the Bros players have swung Dreary on a 3K now. Ventard Jr. taking out Yuta, but not before Dreary goes down. However, that's going to be first half 5-1 for Bros. I did not know that, Toxin. Serral is Crimson? Wow. Very good first half coming out from Bros. They were able to get 5-1. It's going to really set them up for this offensive half. Hopefully they don't lose too many rounds to Sunset Ravens, though. If you let for any side really, if you let too many rounds get given away, you could really face some problems. We do see a little bit of an aggressive defense coming out from Sunset Ravens, though. 3 in lockers, I think. Ooh, but the pinch there, very good. He's gonna get foam on wall, but not before taking a little bit of damage. Yuta has taken damage as well, though. Gonna rotate back to site. Foam is on wall. They haven't rotated off, though. EMP player is on their own. Hopefully they can also get Foam over to Vending. Vending tends to be a very important wall to get. It offers a lot of sight lines onto Connector and AB Door. Icon in Vending is able to get a pick. Dreary goes down to an Incendiary, and now Serral's on their own. However, if we look at the health economy here, all of the Sunset Ravens players have taken a lot of damage. Flashbang will go out, won't quite catch any players. Does seem he will be rotating sites, though. Probably one of the better options in this situation. Not sure why they shot out the window. Ooh, there is a player in lockers, though, and now we see most of the Sunset Ravens players there in lockers. Very good rotation, and this is going to make it really hard for Serral to break the wind or get into sight. He doesn't even have foam, and 15 seconds on the clock. Looks like he will be saving. While a Spectral is only $500, it is an extra $500 you don't have to spend if you are not buying SMGs. And not always a bad idea to save money. Looks like they are able to get a pick before going out. Not bad for economy. However, in the long run, it's not going to be too much. I believe it's $150 for a kill. SR seems to be pretty good at defense so far. They were able to hold back Bros for quite a while. They were forced to save on the roof, and even then they didn't survive. We'll see if they can keep this up into these next rounds. Drone will be going in upstairs. However, there's no upstairs roam. Very uncommon play. You usually have one, at least one upstairs. If you have a very aggressive defense, you usually see two. However, not the case here. It's outside. They got a pick. Not without taking a lot of damage, though. Now the offense knows that there's one in storage. They're going to have to be careful. However, damage is done. It's a 5v3, 4v3 on site right now. Very interesting lean peek coming out here. No one's on hatch anymore, though, so not quite necessary. It's able to get David. Unsure how they keep getting away with this, especially with how low their health is. However, ooh, Vantara is able to swing out, gets one. Not before being refragged, but Vantara Jr. goes down. Not sure how Vantara was able to swing out there onto stairs. The player in the corner should have shot him a little bit sooner. However, can't really argue with that. Very unexpected swing, especially since you didn't hear them approach. He was already in the corner. Very aggressive play that just happened to work out because they had teammates to support them. Always good thing to do. Have a teammate there to refrag you, because if you're swinging out like that, you're bound to die. And if you can provide comms on where you were shot from, your teammate will likely be able to get that pick, unless they are very much skill diffed, which hopefully isn't happening. Now going to round 9. Sunset Ravens has gotten 2 rounds in a row. Can they make it a third? Very good defense so far. They have one out in entryway. Drone is there. Icon is able to make it back before getting picked off. Made it back to site. No damage taken. Drone has cleared storage. They're going to have to be careful for anyone playing close, specifically Icon. The drone has not spotted them, and Bros is likely unaware. Ooh, Iconic, is able to swing out, not before getting refragged though by Spike Jr. One in con, an okay nade goes out, will only really slow down this push. No flanks right now. Vantara goes down by so does David. Yuta is able to take out Cero, who's played very aggro, and it's on the wall, is able to get Spike Jr. holding the wrong angle. We have a few comedians here in the chat. Oh, Iconic's able to get a very early pick. However, they are refragged by Drury. A lot of damage taken, though. A little bit slower push coming out from Bros. 30 seconds have passed and they're just entering the building. Ooh. Apologies for the lag spike. Spike Jr. is now in Tetris along with 2 players on hatch. They're gonna have to be careful for the player in lockers. They don't seem to be quite aware yet. Oh, David is able to get Yuta. Serral getting hits there. In backside, EMP is gonna get planted. One is AB door, and Icon goes down. Now it's a 1v4. Vantara is gonna have to make a move, especially since EMP is planted in a place where it can be watched by Hatch. An interesting play here for the save. Looks like they're also trying to deny a Vezin from Bros. However, they do already have all Vezins. Looks like Vantara will be saving that Vezin. Probably a good idea. Icon is not going to be able to buy that Vezin, another Vezin this round, which is very important because that puts Bros on match point. We were seeing Sunset Ravens sort of pulling it back. However, Bros played a little bit different that round, and they were able to, by the looks of it, catch Sunset Ravens off guard. Very good change of strategy there to throw off the enemy, and it worked really well. They were able to win the round pretty dominantly. Looks like we are on bottom floor once again. Maybe the last round, possibly second to last. We do see one upstairs on defense and one very close on door. For now, a mostly tight defense. 4 playing on or close to site. However, as I say that, one goes down to a wall bang there on a site. It's going to make it a little bit more difficult to defend while this roam comes in. Ooh, the timing. It could be caught out here. Serral upstairs is able to get that pick. Iconic getting one. Vantara going down in con. And now it's a 2v4. Icon is able to get a second player. Serral, however, gets the refrag. Now it's a 1v3. Serral and Vantara have taken damage. It is possible to come back from this 1v3. However, it could be difficult. Ooh, timing there. However, they are able to get Spike Jr. That was the full health player. Last two players are in storage. Iconic might know that. However, Flashbang goes in and the players have swung. One v two, one player is holding almost what looks to be the roam, however, in a different place, and it's enough to catch out Iconic One. Oh, yes, I allegedly delay the stream. That is map 1 win for Bros, though. Factory, very good. Interesting playstyles coming out. What was the score? Hang on. 7-4 in favor of Bros. Iconic One didn't do terribly, though. We saw a second round, an ace coming out. A lot of skill required to make that happen. Granted, a lot of it was refrags. However, that doesn't take away from the team play aspect of that. No one quite reaching double digits besides Iconic One. Not bad, though. Looks like we will be waiting for our next map. Looks like some players may be rotated out or just restarting headsets for any reason, really. For now, we will be waiting for second map. Not sure what it is. Looks like we'll know in around 20 seconds. I was not paying attention to that. What was the map? Sky? Ooh. Skyscraper is always an interesting map. I usually don't prefer to play it, but watching it does tend to be very fun. Uh-oh. Bros. They need to make a button to just automatically swap these two. Unless I'm just dumb. I might just be... Hang on, is there a button for that? Oh, that's interesting. Target last shooter. I might have to try that. Looks like we are waiting on one last player on the side of Bros. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. Looks like we may be going into a 4v5. Sunset Ravens is on the attack. Bros has gotten their 5th player on the defense. We'll see how this works out for them. They did very good on factory defense, 5-1 against Sunset Ravens NA. We'll see if they can pull off a similar feat here on Skyscraper, or maybe Sunset Ravens is going to be able to play a little bit better here on Skyscraper. Oh shoot, did I put 7-2? Thank you, House, for pointing that out. I would not have noticed that otherwise. Do see a roam coming out from Spike Jr. Relatively far defense. 2 out on the other side. 1 here. David getting that pick. They don't know exactly where this next player is though. And there's 3 on the window. Another nade goes out. Won't quite catch much damage. Ooh, and the double roam over here could be dangerous for Sunset Ravens. Uh-oh. Now it's a 4v2. Icon is essentially on his own for now until Iconic can get into the building and Dreary from sight is able to get that pick. Iconic is able to get 1, however, double swung there from sight and the hallway. Pretty good start there for Bros, and they were able to carry that through. First getting pick here in what I forgot what this is called. Is this lounge? Shoot, where's the nameplate thing? Lobby, I guess. First getting the player in lobby, and utility denying any sort of push up. Along with the double roam, that got them a lot of damage overall. Very great play there. Maybe, just maybe, we'll see a similar situation as last map. Oh, very interesting play. Waiting till the last second to repel, giving as little information to Bros as possible. We do see only 1 roam this time, and the rest of the players are sticking to sight. Not a bad idea on this floor. Usually you do see the roam upstairs, however. Does seem like it will be a split push. Foam is on a hatch. EMP player does seem to also be going towards a wall. A hatch is blown. 2 drops. Spike Jr. getting 1 refragged, but David refragging that. Lots of trades coming out. Wall is blown as well. It's his insight. Nade goes out. He's going to be forced to make a move. David swings out, gets 1. And Goody, we have... I'm sorry, these names are... Okay, Ventara Jr. gets the last two players. I'm gonna have to figure out something else for this, because... We've got some predictions in the chat. Bros 7-3. Entirely possible. We saw 7-4 last map, and they started on defense as well. We're starting to see a very similar situation. However, Iconic didn't do quite as much as he did in the first two rounds, especially since he didn't ace this time. Not yet, at least. We could see another ace coming out. 2 aces in 2 maps is always possible. We will be seeing a radio push coming out from Sunset Ravens. Flashbang going out, nade being traded. Ventara is able to push out, get one pick. Yuta swinging out, gets the refrag. On door, David is able to get that pick. Instant goes out. They're gonna have to be careful for these rifles. Spike Jr. and David both have Vezins, and we've seen David doing a very good job with them. They now know someone is on the roam. Very good at job denying that. Cyril on the flank does go down. Very good. Evens out the numbers just a little bit. Instant will go out, however, not quite the best throw. We also... Sunset Ravens might have forgotten to buy breaching foam. Icon is able to get a pick, and it is now in sight B. Hopefully he's calling out to his team, because now he's dead, and it's going to make it very difficult to push in. Two v 2 right now. Bros at a health disadvantage though. As I say this, Dreary gets the 2k with the Cadillo, no less. Very good shots coming out. Never a bad choice to buy the Cadillo if you want that one-shot headshot. It's basically just a Taurus with a little bit more ammo. And it's pretty easy to use. If you're good with Marui, Vezin, any rifle really, it's not too hard to transfer that over. It's just, it's not quite as versatile as those fully automatic weapons. And that's the main thing that turns people away. However, it does have potential if you can get good with it. Especially since it's only $2,000 base, no attachments. It's a lot cheaper than Vezin or Marui, and it has the same one-tapping potential, just not fully automatic, which is not bad of a trade-off if you can hit your headshots. We are now on bottom floor in the conference side, or offices objectives, sorry. We do see an upstairs push partially. Looks like Hatch will be getting blown along with bathroom. However, Very strong hold here in bathroom from the Bros team. 2 players, and we may be seeing a possible rotation upstairs. No, Flashbang goes out, and Ventara and Spike Jr. in bathroom are able to catch all the players. And now it's a 3v5. One is rotating over to bathroom with a Knut. We'll see if they're able to take advantage of this. Ooh, trip mines. Not gonna quite work out. And Dreary in sight. I believe that was a 4K. That push really fell apart when they lost both players pushing bathroom. Especially since they sent a player with a Knut to bathroom alone, where there were 2 players. I mean, I believe they knew that there were 2 players in bathroom. So, not sure what the plan was there, but pushing bathroom is pretty important. They just should have done it at a very similar time instead of letting the player in bathroom die and then waiting and then finally pushing in. Not the greatest way to finish a push. I also noticed the first player dropping went immediately for the cubby area. While it's not a bad idea to go straight to booth, if you're just dropping hatch, you tend to want to stay behind the little bar area. It tends to provide a little bit more cover, and while con is still an issue, you're much more likely to be shot from the rest of sight. We're seeing some very interesting pushes coming out here from Sunset Ravens. One has gone in red room. There is a player over here in broadcast, though. I believe they know that they are there. 2 have also gone in radio. Looks like the push on the window has started. Baiting decoys a little bit. Iconic has taken a lot of damage. There is a player in the corner. They're going to have to be careful. Serral is able to get 2 picks there. The 2 players pushing from the side. That's going to be a little bit more difficult for Sunset Ravens to push in with this much of a player disadvantage. Serral is able to get a pick on hallway. David in sight. Gets one. Spike Jr. on the roam. Gets the last player. Very good coordination there. Crossfire stopping swings and flanks coming in at the right time. Almost a perfect round there from Bros. They were able to very effectively finish off most of the Sunset Ravens players even before they were in sight. They got wall blown, however, didn't do much for them in the end. It just opened up more angles for them to be shot from. Now we're once again on bottom floor. B site in these, I believe it's conference, yes, conference site. We may be seeing a B site push, however, not from Hatch. You don't usually see a push like this. You usually see Hatch getting blown. However, bathroom is a relatively good alternative as well. Also pushing from courtyard, however, towards the A site. A couple spare guns here in con. Hopefully they don't let Sunset Ravens reach those. Could be. Sunset Ravens could take advantage of that. However, do see a lot of damage being traded. Dreary was able to get 2, however, Ventar Jr. goes down. A lot of damage being traded here. A lot of players on door. David is able to get a pick. Doesn't know there's one in the corner. Gets that pick. Amazing flick there. And Dreary gets it's his son. Very good plays. David swinging out. Very impressive there. Not easy to get that flick he did swinging out that wall. Very good. Unfortunate that the player in the corner did not see him at the doorway. Could have really changed the whole round getting that pick. However, not much you can do after it's happened, and Bros is in the lead, not Sunset Ravens. I'm going to need to fix that. Bros is 6-0 right now. We are seeing once again this office's side. It's is here in bathroom, hopefully trying to deny entry. Flashbang will go out. It goes down, so does Iconic. Yuta is able to get picks, however, it's a little late. Ooh, Spike Jr. is in sight now. Icon is able to refrag that. Thankfully, Ventar Jr. is able to get Icon, however, Cyril on the flank is able to get... Who was that? Yuta. Very good push there from Bros. They were able to take space very quickly, especially with the pick onto bathroom. And 7-0. Sorry, Trix, your prediction was wrong. I expected Sunset Ravens to get at least one round as well. However, Bros with a very good performance. Final scores for those who are interested. Dreary doing very well. However, kills really spread out across the board. Sunset Ravens Icon doing very good. Iconic and Yuta also doing pretty good. However, a lot more top centered kills. Possible server swap, or we will be going to the other Bro 2 game, which is Bro 2 versus IUI. Does look like it was a server swap. Never mind. That's an empty server. Probably should have been paying attention. Alright, it is server swap. Or, sorry, not server swap, end of scrim. I'm going to... this one... We may be joining... maybe map 1. I and Pro 2. Alrighty. We are seeing IUI upstairs. Storage hatch is blown. Could be dangerous to drop this though. Crossfire coming out. Storage door, however, have rotated off waterfall. They will have to be careful for the player in the corner though. Sight hatch is also blown. It's going to be hard to rotate through con now. Looks like they will be also trying to take waterfall. Could be useful. However, Kratos could be caught out by the player in the corner. Ooh, Luna is able to get one from door, two, but Kratos is able to get Midman, and Hani also gets a pick. Now it's a 2v3. They don't know that no one's on hatch, though. Could be detrimental in the end. Ooh, Dexter is able to get that pick. Kratos is able to refrag that, though. One swings out, and they're going to get Kratos there before EMP can get planted. Bro to 2-0. Not the same lineup I saw on the website when I was looking at them. Perhaps they had a roster change at some point. Very good performance there, though, from Bro 2. They were able to hold cross angles, basically, and that allowed them to get a few picks. We saw Luna there on storage door. Very good. Hatch has been blown, and we will be going into the next round. Midman peeking the hatch is able to get very early pick. Unfortunate for them. Midman playing very aggressive. You don't usually see such aggro play underneath a hatch. Very dangerous. However, while that's going on hatch, they are getting wall phoned. Util going out, head peek also taking some damage. Kratos is mostly on his own until the player on window can peek. However, they go down very early. Midman is able to finish off Doctor, and Tony also goes down. Luna swings out, almost takes out Katini. I'm sorry, I probably just butchered that name. Katani. Okay, Katani. Katani almost gets 2 picks, however, they go down unfortunately. Very low HP, not much you can do about that situation. Almost a good round there from IUI. They just need to work on their coordination a little bit. However, Midman aggressive on that hatch. I've never seen that before. A very interesting way to play. We are now on middle floor site. However, we have 2 players upstairs on the side of Bro 2. Very interesting roam. Dexter's going to be in a very dangerous place for himself and the other IUI players. Very interesting situation. Dexter is able to get 1. Bad nade goes out. They are going to break the window. Kratos is able to get that pick. Now they're going to have control of upstairs. And this could be good for IUI. They have a lot of space upstairs, however. They don't know Midman is also upstairs. Jekyll is able to get Dr. Hogginsworth, though. Very good pick. That's going to get player advantage on the side of Bro 2. However, they do still have to be careful of this player upstairs. Timing could save them for now, however. Could have been bad if they stayed a little bit longer. Proxy will go off, let them know that they are in garage. Hopefully this stairs roam doesn't take too long. However, they can't let it come too soon either. Does seem like it will be a rotation. Midman is able to get 2 from the stairs, and Jekyll is able to get Honey, the last player alive. Very good roam coming out. Midman coming down at almost perfect time. Now going into round 5, IUI is at a very big round disadvantage. 4-0 so far. They're gonna have to get at least 1 round if they want much of a chance going into the second half. You don't usually want to go into the second half of a map with 0 round wins, let alone just 1. So hopefully they can win out these next 2 rounds. We do see Dr. Hogginsworth upstairs, though. They're able to get a pick. They also have an upstairs roam in the form of Midman. Very common roamer by the looks of it. Hopefully, yeah, they have rotated back to site. Could be useful. Hatch has been blown. Kratos is now in, goes down. Luna is able on a 2K now. 2 still on hatch. They're going to have to be careful of Waterfall, though. Because if Midman goes down, Storage could be in danger. Sight hatch has been blown. Katini is able to take out Jekyll on bomb. This might open up an opportunity for them to drop and plant the EMP, especially since no one's currently on A to deny from Khan. They do have to be careful for the player upstairs, though. Dr. Hogginsworth is now in a site. Midman is able to get Hani upstairs. Now he's chasing 1v1 upstairs. EMP player alone. They're going to have to be careful. Dr. Hogginsworth is going to be crash walking into B. It's 2v3, 30 seconds on the clock. Dr. Hogginsworth has gotten another pick. Luna takes out Dr. Hogginsworth. Now it's a 1v2. EMP is in Katani's hands. They're going to have to make a move. 5 seconds on the clock. Would be smart to save here. No time, and you have a stim and rifle. No point in putting yourself in danger when you could save it. Very good performance from this Bro 2 squad so far. Midman being a very dangerous roam. Very interesting play style as well. After getting a pick, a lot of the players rotate to that player, and it's really helpful in this matchup so far because IUI has been playing very close together in groups of 2. That's not a bad thing. However, in this situation, they're not able to win their gunfights and really hurting them in the process. If they're smart, they will be ready for Midman there, and they are. Kratos on hatch still, along with most of the other players. There's only one there on, sorry, what is it called? Shower. They're going to have to be careful of these players in Khan. Ooh, 2K coming out. He has a sight now. Dexter is able to get 2 on the box. However, that's going to be the extent of what's there. Luna also able to get Kratos. Now it's a 2v2. Hani is able to get Luna there in bedroom, sorry. And now it's a 2v1. The last defender is currently outside of sight, and EMP is gonna get planted. Dexter is now on his own. EMP is planted. Retake situation. They know where he is. Generally. They know that he was in hallway, so it is safe to assume he is still there. And good crossfire coming out from IUI. The one on bomb is holding hallway, and the one in the corner is holding the doorway. And Hani is able to hold the angle and get the pick there, winning out the round. 1 round there for IUI. Very good performance from Bro 2 so far. However, IUI there showing very good skill there. They were able to hold cross angles, and that really won them the round. If Hani had missed, Dr. Hogginsworth could have gone down very unfortunately and maybe even lost the round. However, very good plays coming out, and IUI is on the board. They can afford to make 1 round's worth of mistakes before they lose the full game. Gonna have to be careful though, because there is still Midman as a roam. However, he may not even be the one. Or no, sorry, wrong team. Kratos taking a lot of damage there, and only 1 wall is blown. Not quite sure what's holding them up. Flashbang goes out. Katini goes down. Luna accidentally takes out their own teammate. Very aggressive swing coming out from Dr. Hogginsworth. Now it's a 3v2. EMP is on the wall, but not planted. Unfortunate situation. They know one's on wall now. 1 minute 15 on the clock. Still very doable for Bro too. They did just pass Foam, however, Horny and Dr. Hogginsworth are able to get the picks, winning out the round. IUI has pulled back a second round. This is starting to look a little bit more doable. Very good plays there from IUI. Definitely doing a lot better there on the defense. Could be looking up. Before Bros in the previous scrim, they did very well on defense. Definitely a defense-oriented team. However, perhaps Bro 2 is an offense-oriented team. Or, no. I'm sorry, I'm looking at these numbers wrong. Perhaps Bro 2 also is a defense-oriented team. Oh, it's a very interesting playstyle, one I much enjoy. Dropping down Skylight to take space very quickly. And it worked. They have control of storage now. However, Katini is there on parkour. 2 kills. Una has gotten one there on the window. 4v3 in the favor of IUI. Midman gets Kratos, who jumped out. Dexter also getting Dr. Hogginsworth. Now it's a 3v2. This round has really turned around quickly. Bro 2 is now in the lead. EMP is on the ground. They're going to have to make a rotation to retrieve that. However, Luna on the roam through the other site is able to get the picks. Dexter with a little bit of TK there as well. Maybe getting a little bit overconfident. However, 6-2 is nothing to scoff at. Very good performance. This is also going to force IUI into a corner. If they're smart about it, they're going to full buy, or at least buy to the best of their abilities every single round from now on. Because if they lose one, then they are out of the map. Iowa's going to need to really pull it back here if they want to win this map. 5 rounds consecutively needed if they want to beat Bros. I believe this is map 1. I don't think we missed too much from the previous scrim. Do see 2 players here on the window. Is it 2 shotguns? Oh, we see 3 shotguns coming out from these Bro 2 players. Perhaps getting a little overconfident? Hopefully here foam on the wall. EMP is going to be getting planted. Dexter and Luna getting picks. Midman also catching out one. Huracan really getting put to use, and EMP is planted. Hani on his own in con right now. Midman getting them. However, Dr. Hogginsworth, 2 kills now. I believe it's 3 total though. They know one's con, or maybe just a guess. That's going to get always 08. Now they need to find the last player. However, they're very tucked in right now. And Dexter with the Knut taking out Dr. Hogginsworth. 7-2. First map, I believe. Don't take my word for it. I don't know if this is map 1. Very good plays there from Bro 2. They were able to very easily attack that site very quickly. Few people going double digits. Always nice to see. Dr. Hogginsworth 11-7 ending there. I believe they almost aced. Dexter, I believe, was the last person in their ace. However, they were just playing in the corner. Very good post-plant position. Can't blame him really, though. EMP is planted. Luna and Midman getting picks as well. 12-7, 11-5. Very good plays. Oh, going straight into next map, Arctic. I believe I need to fix that. Yes. Road. Arctic is always an interesting map. Behind Hideout and Factory, it's one of my more favorite maps. Mall was also up there. I didn't realize how much I actually enjoyed it. However, it's just a very niche map. Sometimes it's a little big, but it's got charm. We are going to IUI on the attack, Bro 2 on the defense. I'm interested if IUI chose map instead of side after seeing how good Bro 2 was on defense. Or if IUI actually chose offense. Oh! Luna almost... Oh, that is unfortunate there for the side of Bro 2. Luna was just staring at the back of Katini and missing those spectral shots. Ooh, good pre-fire coming out. Always goes down though to Kratos. 1 HP now. 2v4, however, the IUI players are very low. It's going to be very difficult to come back, or for Bro2 to come back from this, though, even with the health disadvantage. Hogginsworth is also on the side. Jekyll being triple swung there. One from the window, one from the wall, and one from sight. Very difficult to fight against when you have that many people shooting at you. Maybe could have been played a little bit better with the movement and hiding away from other players, but still very difficult to fight against a 1v3. IUI maybe made a good choice if they chose side, or even map. They have won first round and could be the start of a very good first half. It's very important to get as many early rounds as possible, however, not quite as important as the later rounds. Earlier rounds do set up your economy pretty well, however, that can be made up relatively easily with just one more extra save round. They will have to be careful for both of these players here in kitchen, though. They will get damaged with that nade. Hopefully, it lets them know that there is players in kitchen along with that drone. Very aggressive hold there from Bros, though. We see, I believe, 2 in hallway and 1 in kitchen. Hopefully this doesn't hurt them in the long run. Granted, if they need to rotate back, they probably will. Very easily at that. Luna there in the corner, able to get one. Will rotate back to site very safely. No swings for any refrags whatsoever. Trips go off. Will get a little bit of damage. Luckily, they have a stim. Honey will be getting that. And always in the corner, getting the planter. Unfortunate place to plant, especially since you can shoot through that wooden bunk area. Player in hallway. They'll take a lot of damage. Honey also get refrags Doctor. And Midman on the roam. Able to get 2 kills. Basically saving the round there. That could have been difficult to get him out a little bit sooner if Midman wasn't there. Very good round there from Bro. They were able to hold space very effectively. 2 kitchen really slowed down the push. Got rid of the drone pretty early. They weren't able to check for much. And that allowed Midman to flank the flanker. Which is funny to say, but it's what happened. They weren't ready for the player to be on stairs, and they were able to get 2 picks because of it. They were able to get wall open and EMP started plant. However, they just hadn't gotten hallway fully clear yet. Do see some util going out very early. However, only damage being traded so far. Ooh, mid-man getting some trips. However, Dexter did go down first. Unfortunate timing there. Phone will be on wall. 4v4, however, Kratos is low. Stim will be passed. Always will be able to take out Hani. Kratos is able to get Luna there on the box. Very good pick. That's going to open up a lot of opportunities for this plant. Always is now in a prime position to deny the plant. However, Katani is able to get mid-man and Always has gotten Kratos 2v2. EMP is on the wall. Jekyll gets a little bit of damage on Katani. Gonna be very useful in the long run. Instant goes out. Unfortunate placement though. Won't spread out as far as they need it. Baiting EMP Always is able to get one. Katani is low and Always with the 1v2 clutch there. Swings out. Katani swung out a little bit too aggressive there. While maybe you need to pay a little bit more attention to the audio. Very good round there in the beginning for IUI though. They were able to get a lot of damage early on. Unfortunate not being able to save Dexter early on with those trips. However, not much can be done about that. Does seem Bro is ready for a B site push. However, all of the players are on A. Drone will be going in. Hopefully they don't catch out Dexter. Ooh, the drone will spot Dexter and he's gonna need to make a move. He's a very easy target when he's in that corner. The only thing really saving that spot is if it's kept a secret. However, it's no secret anymore, and players will be crouch walking up to Dexter. Shots will be traded, and Dexter almost swings out. Damage being traded. Dr. Hogginsworth is able to refrag his teammate. Hopefully here's trips. Does, and that's not going to be a threat anymore. We'll have to be careful for the player in red room though. That's going to be another pick. 2v2 now. Numbers have been evened out. Health advantage is just slightly in the favor of IUI right now. Does look like it will be a rotation. Definitely a smart idea. They're going to be able to get EMP planted basically for free, and Always goes down. Very good performance so far from Dr. Hogginsworth. Might have been a 4K as well. Yes, I believe that was a 4K. Very good plays. Man. I always get that frame spike whenever I go to check the stream condition. Make sure nothing is like broken. We are now on top floor. Bro 2 still on defense. Second to last round of the half. Most teams will try to make sure they have enough money to buy next round, and by the looks of it, most of the IUI players will be able to buy. However, on the side of Bro 2, it looks like only 2 will be able to buy next round if they lose. Perhaps they can get 2 people to stay alive at the end and win the round. However, you can't always depend on that. Drone will be going in, and hopefully they take space off of this drone. They need to make sure they do this, because it's kind of how they lost last draft. They weren't able to take too much space. Flashbang goes in, will catch a little bit of teammates, however, not too bad, especially since they're still on the roof. However, there is another one in library. Or, sorry, that could be kitchen. Hopefully they don't get too aggressive in the hallway without checking, because they could be caught out. Ooh, Katani going down. Midman. Ooh, 2K coming out from Midman so far. 3K through the wall alone. 2, not quite an ace. Almost an ace. Horny though, 2 kills there. Will get a stim. That's going to get him back to full HP. 1v2. Don't have EMP. That's sitting in the middle of gym there. Hopefully they can pick up that breaching foam, get wall open, because that's going to be the best opportunity they have. However, Dexter there from library is able to get the last pick. They're going to be able to carry 2 rifles through. That might be just enough to get them all the rifles they need, and by the looks of it, yes, they're able to have full rifles and utility thanks to always having a lot of money along with Dexter. This is very good setup here for Bro. They're going to have everything they need to push into sight, while IUI is going to be forced to have 3 SMGs. Not the greatest to fight rifles, however, it is possible. The Viper is a very fast time to kill. Despite it being an SMG, even in medium range, it can kill pretty fast. It's 2 headshot to kill, 56 damage. Even at, I believe, close to family room size, I believe you could still 2-tap. Grenade will go out, won't quite catch any damage. Drone will be going in. Hopefully Dexter can take it out before it sees a little bit too much. Does seem to be a little bit of a split push here. 2 on A and 3 on B. Don't usually see this much of a split. Ooh, Proxy will let them know that they are in green right now. 1 is also on red door. Hopefully they can execute this pinch well. They do have to be careful for this player in the corner. There is also a stairs roam. Kratos on red is able to get that pick. Dr. Hogginsworth upstairs is also able to get 1. This is looking very good for IUI right now. 5v2. Dexter swings out, only able to get 1. 1v5 now. Jekyll on his own. And Dr. Hogginsworth from behind is able to get the last pick of the round. 3-3 first half. Looking very different from first map. Very good performance there from IUI. They were able to get a lot of good picks there, and that let them take space and sight very easily. Especially since at the end of the round it was just a 1v4, and Dr. Hogwarts had already taken so much space on A that it just became too difficult to defend against it. Three players in kitchen and mess hall could be a little bit of an engagement. Honey is able to get mid-man, however, shot in the back. Luna, coming from library, is able to get that pick. However, do they know about the other player in kitchen? Dr. Hogginsworth doing the same thing to Luna as they did to Honey. Now, ball is blown 3v3, one player backside. One is also green hall. They're going to have to be careful. Katani is able to get one. Two that swung into sight. Now EMP is on the ground. Not sure why teams decide to try to plant in that spot. It's not a very good plant spot since you can shoot through it. Now it's a 1v2. Dexter has not taken damage from that. That's going to be very useful going into the rest of this 1v2 clutch, especially since it's pistol round. There's not going to be any healing syringes, or likely not going to be any healing syringes, since you'd have to buy a Jesper. Timing there might have saved Dexter. Dexter is able to get Katani, however, refragged by Horny, and very good picks coming out. Bro 2 not looking too hot right now. Maybe Arctic just isn't their map. However, they aren't doing terribly. 3-3 first half is not bad. Especially in a map like Arctic. This tends to be one of the more defense-sided maps. And they did get 3 on their defense. Granted, you would usually want to get at least 4. However, any amount is good as long as it's not 0 or 1. Leaving yourself room for little to no mistakes is never a good idea, and 2 tends to be the bare minimum if you want to come back from any situation, really. Flashbang's gonna go out, clear a lot of space for Bro 2. Luna is able to get one, however, always has taken a lot of damage. Luna has also just gotten a second pick. Very good job there on Red Room. Dr. Hogginsworth is able to get a lot of picks. Trip's also going to take out Dexter. Flashbang goes out, won't quite catch much damage. And Dr. Hogginsworth, ooh. That was a very interesting situation there. That smoke blocked off line of sight from the players swinging red. Jekyll was able to take out Kratos alone and then turn around for the player who sprinted into red. Very confusing situation, because if you're in a smoke, you can't see what's outside, so neither team really knew where the other was. Very good play there from Bro, though. They were able to take that confusion and kill both of the players there swinging. Very good play, and that got them the round 4-4. I have a feeling we may be seeing OT. if we keep this up. Good checking upstairs room. Always a good, never a bad idea to check an upstairs room. However, you do usually want to do that with a drone. It's very dangerous to send a whole player to try and check upstairs. However, Midman goes down very early. Unfortunate for Bro. They're going to have to recover from this somehow. Ooh, amazing blind fire from Katani. EMP is going to start getting planted. Oh, Luna also going down. EMP will get planted. Katani 2K so far. Jekyll gets Kratos. Katani gets Dexter, and Jekyll goes down to Dr. Hogginsworth. Very good flicks there from Katani. Amazing reaching over and getting that flick. It's very hard to do, especially since you have to do it with your real hands. This is VR. Not easy to do this, especially at a very high level like these teams are. IUI doing a pretty good job on defense here. They have taken the lead once again. However, Bro could very easily take another round in return and make it tied again. Anything is possible at this point. We see relatively even buys coming out. Granted, IUI does have a little bit more money. They have had a little bit more success in these rounds, losing a few less players, and that really allowed them to save up a lot of money. And economy is really everything. It lets you buy gadgets, it lets you buy guns. It's really important to manage your economy well. Do see a site push with a little bit of a distraction on B. Or maybe it's intended as a roam. Ooh, Dr. Hogginsworth is able to get Luna. Second one on that vent. Very good plays there. Difficult pixel peek to take care of, and he's playing it very well. Midman is also outside B. Not quite getting any picks yet. Flash will get one player. However, they don't swing in too far after it. And Horny is able to get Midman. Hopefully they realize that the rest of the players are on the other site. Dr. Hogginsworth gets Jekyll. 3 kills so far. Dexter finally shuts that down. And now it's a 1v4. This is going to be... Oh my god, Dexter. You did not need to shoot his body. Dexter 1v4. Horny has gotten a stim from their teammates. Dexter has also gotten a Marui off the ground. Very important. He's going to need as much guns and utility as possible. Also retrieve the EMP. A lot of damage goes out onto Kratos. IUI could hear this rotation, however. It does look like they have. One has rotated over to B. Proxy also going off. Very interesting proximity sensor. It's only going off when he's outside instead of when he's inside. 15 seconds on the clock. It does look like Dexter is going to save. Definitely a good idea. 1v4 situation. He has a Marui and 2 healing syringes. A very good haul to save, really. The Marui alone is very important, and the 2 extra syringes is just all the better. You need as much health and guns as possible, but especially utility. Utility tends to be very important, especially on defense. And you see that a lot with the defensive utility, like static field emitters and door blockers. It's very hard to push in when you have incense and grenades being thrown at you, and that's kind of what the defense's job is to do. Use utility to stall them out at first, and once they're desperate, shoot them when they try to swing in, because that's what you're doing. You're holding angles so you can take advantage of them not being ready. It may sound simple, but it sometimes is quite difficult, especially with the placement and timing of utility. 2 grenades going out very early won't quite get much damage, or any at all. Unfortunate throws of utility that won't get much value. However, it does tell them a little bit of information that there is no one in hallway right now. Foam is on wall and is going to be blown. Drone has gone in. It's going to tell them where people are. Oh! Once again, another incredible flick coming out. Great incendiary bounce as well. I might have to use that in my ranked games. Midman and Dr. Hogginsworth getting picks. However, push is still on B site. That was just a little bit of a flank to try and take space, and it has worked. They're going to have control of the hallway now, and the other wall will be blown. Hopefully they're ready for this doorway peek. Kratos is able to get Luna on green wall. Midman taking out Katani. Very good pick. Huge thorn in the side early on, and now it's a 2v1. Dexter is on their own. EMP is planted. Kratos is going to heal up. Hopefully Kratos calls out, and Honey in hallways able to get the pick. Very good plays. Very good teamwork coming out. And that wins IUI the whole map. 7-4. Not quite as dominant as Bro did to them. However, apologies, changing windows always does that. Final scores for those who are interested. Dr. Hogginsworth, once again, very standout shooter on the side of IUI, along with Katani, very helpful there on the middle floor bomb site, both on double kills. Horny and Kratos both relatively close behind. Midman, double digits as well, 12 and 10. Always also 9 and 9. Rip. I have to. Bro, 2 on 3. We will be going to Factory, an OG map. IUI is starting on the offense. Bro2 on the defense. We have seen Bro2 do better on defense in the past, specifically being Hideout. However, things could be looking different. Factory does tend to be a little bit more defense-sided map. Same thing along with most of the other maps in Breachers. Defense just tends to be a little bit easier because it is so much simpler. You're just holding two rooms. However, offense, you have to do a little bit more. You have to take space, make sure you have no flanks, and similar things, and it adds up, making offense tending to be a little bit more difficult. However, the more walls and windows and doorways you have access to, the easier it's going to be to attack. And on this floor specifically, we do have two very good plant spots. However, it is difficult to take space here when defense has such a strong hold. It's a 1v2 now. Trade's been going off up and down, and leaves Horny on their own against Jekyll and Dexter. Smoke goes out. Might not quite cover the whole hallway though. And Dexter able to get the last pick from the hallway. Good crossfire though. Could have ended badly if they'd swung out a little bit too soon, but worked out in their favor. Pro doing a very good job so far, as similar to Hideout. Maybe they'll be able to carry this through, or maybe it was just a fluke round. Maybe IUI just isn't quite as good as factory pistol rounds. Or perhaps it's just going to be a defense thing. Perhaps IUI will be better on factory defense. Do seem to be wary of a roam upstairs. They also need to be careful of a player in Janitor Hall. Could be dangerous to swing in without checking. Ooh, they do get some shots, however, do rotate off. Wallbangs do come out. Ooh, trip mines do go off. They'll catch a little bit of damage. Healing syringe will get them to full HP. Really slow push coming out. Likely waiting for these two players in assembly to make their move. Player in electric goes down. And that's really going to hurt the push here from IUI. However, they do have one over here in assembly. This could work out for them if Dr. Hogginsworth plays it right. He is in sight and they don't know it. Ooh, Luna on the roam is able to get Honey. Sorry if I'm butchering your name. And Midman is able to get Dr. Hogginsworth. They tried rotating to center. Luna swings out and gets two. Not sure how they were able to get both of those players. Very good so far from Bro 2. They've been very good about holding angles that possible fights could be coming from, specifically Electric there, and we also saw Assembly. They weren't quite holding it. However, once they knew someone was coming there, they were able to hold that angle and make sure that they weren't swung. Now going into round 3, IUI has a pretty big economy disadvantage. They will have less guns, however, more utility. We do see Bro 2 opting to spend a little bit less money on utility. However, they also aren't aware that the defense doesn't have a roam upstairs. They didn't buy a drone to try and check it. Midman, once again, aggro on the hatch like in first map, gets a pick. Also swings the stairs, gets a second. This could be dangerous for IUI if they let him keep swinging these. Ooh. Nate goes out. Will catch a lot of damage on Midman. Will rotate and opt to go to stairs. Dexter on the other stairs though. Vezin taking out Kratos. Midman still playing aggro on these stairs. Ooh, is able to get one of the players, however, not before going down. Now it's a 1v4. Honi does have EMP, no breaching foam though. Could be a little bit difficult to swing in. Breaching foam is on stairs. 30 seconds left. They're going to have to make a move or save. Saving is an option. You have 2 healing syringes and an Aurel. Aurel is not cheap. And there goes Dexter. That's going to be a Vezin on the ground if they go and check it. Very good save there. They were able to carry through a Vezin and 2 healing syringes. If Midman is a tryout, they should probably pick him up. Unless he's a sub, then unfortunate that he's not on a good team. Very good playstyle so far. Definitely complements Bros a little bit. Or Bro 2, sorry. A little bit more aggro playstyle. And it also helps them get a little bit more space on defense. do see 3 players here in hallway, 1 by door and 2 in Tetris. Interesting choice of a Viper with a laser. Drone will go in, maybe catch out the players here in Tetris. Hopefully Luna will be able to take it out early before it can affect them. Luna is able to get Dr. Hogginsworth, however, they go down to Katani. Hani's holding down the hallway for now while his teammates swing up. Grenade will go up. Hopefully it will catch a little bit of damage, which does look like it did. Dexter swinging up, gets one. Also one back, gets one as well. Katani's on his own back in Tetris right now. Not full HP. Kratos is also alive, however, they are Gen. They go down though. That's going to be EMP on the ground. Unfortunate. 1v3, they have 2 syringes. They're going to be able to keep their HP relatively high. Does look like Katani will be going for a save once again. Could be dangerous to save twice in a row, however. You're going to let bros have 4 points. Sorry, give me a moment. My cat wants in. Possible disconnect coming in. That would be unfortunate. Bros is in a 4-point lead, going 4-0. This could be very dangerous for IUI. They have let a lot of rounds go by just by saving, and saving here and there does tend to be useful. However, if you let it happen too much, you're just giving away free rounds while also letting the opponent keep their economy. And it's very dangerous to let that happen. As we see, all of the pro players still have over $2,000 after buying everything they need. It's going to be very difficult to take this round and the next if they want any chance of a safe comeback. Granted, you don't always have to go for a safe comeback. There is always the opportunity of going 5-1 first half and clutching it from there. It's just a little bit more dangerous, harder to do. I do see a very assembly side hold, however, Bro has decided to rotate back. Dexter with 2 is going to be able to stay alive after that. Drone will be coming in. Ooh, Dexter with the 3rd kill. Hopefully they realize the last 2 players are upstairs. That grenade will be able to catch out a Dexter, who is very hard to take care of. Luna is able to get Hani. And this is not looking good for IUI. And as I say that, Midman refrags Luna there, and 5 rounds in a row. This is not looking good here for for IUI. 5 rounds unanswered in a row. This is going to be very difficult for them to come back from. They're going to want to try their best to get this round. 6-0 is very difficult to come back from this. 7 rounds back to back you need to win. No chances for any sort of mistakes. That's actually kind of funny. Midman upstairs right now. Dexter was also upstairs. Could be a little bit hurtful for them. IUI has taken a little bit of space upstairs, especially with Dr. Hawkinsworth there, taking out Luna. Smoke goes out, Nade will catch damage. Midman upstairs gets 2 picks. Will rotate off, maybe go for a lean peek. Midman is able to get a 3rd kill. Dr. Hawkinsworth is on his own right now in assembly. Will take a little bit of damage, always is going to play a little bit aggro off that. Not too much though, you definitely don't want to give too many picks. Especially as we're seeing here, Midman goes down. Now it's a 2v3. However, Dr. Hawkinsworth is very low. 38 HP. Hopefully their stim recharges in time. However, they have left Kratos on their own. EMP player in storage. Oh, they were able to get that pick on Dexter Morgan from the stairs. Kratos now also low, 50 HP. Going to be able to stim themselves. Dr. Hawkinsworth goes down to takes out Jekyll. Sorry. This is actually starting to look good for IUI. They've been able to get a lot of 1v1s, and now Kratos is in sight, ready to plant. Baits 1 dot and maybe stick the next. Now it's a 1v2 post-plant situation with Dr. Hawkinsworth winning that 5-1. IUI was finally able to get the first round on the board. However, is it enough? Or will Bro2 be able to attack well enough that that 1 round doesn't matter? Sides have now swapped IUI on the defense. Middle floor. We'll see if they can make a difference here. They're going to need to win 6 rounds. Doesn't have to be in a row. They have space to make lose a round. However, that's it. If they lose 2 rounds, they lost. There's nothing they're going to be able to do. And we do see a roam upstairs. The rest have decided to stick to site. Hatch has been blown. Kratos is able to take out Luna, who played a little bit too aggro there. Dexter, however, drops the hatch. Now in sight. Kratos once again with the pick. EMP is planted, however. And they need to make their way back to site. Or, sorry, hatch. Katani, sorry. Goes down on the hatch. Kratos is able to get another pick. Midman on the hatch. Gets 2. Now it's a 1v1. Hani is very low. And Midman is able to clutch 1v3. Very good plays there from Bro. At first, it wasn't looking very good. Luna played a little bit too aggro on the hatch there. Dropped a little bit too soon and straight into sight. You never really want to do that. But apparently Dexter Morgan was like, no, I saw what happened and I'm just going to do the same thing. And they made it work somehow. They were able to take out a player in con and reach backside before they went down. But that allowed EMP to get planted, and after the roam upstairs died, it was kind of over for the IUI defense. Once they have control of that hash after plant, it is extremely difficult to win that round. Similar here on this floor. If the offense is able to get EMP planted in this cubby on this wall here, they will be able to go to the hatch and hold it from outside, completely safe except for the hatch, or maybe if they're good enough, IUI could throw a nade. Oh, once again, very aggro playstyle here. Dexter is able to get Kratos. Foam is already on wall. Hawkinsworth has gotten a pick onto Jekyll, and always a with a pick as well. Hawkinsworth gets always a 2 picks. Dexter also goes down. Midman refrags that. Now it's 2v2. One player on B, one back of A. This is starting to look a little bit more winnable for IUI. 2v2 isn't impossible. However, Luna just even made it a 2v1. They're gonna have to be careful. Knows the last player was in lockers. Now they know he is in sight. Gonna have to be careful of Headpeak. At least on Headpeak, and hopefully Midman is able to escape out the window. Katani is gonna go straight for the EMP. This is a tough situation here for Katani. They're going to have to stick the plant if they want to win the round. But if they stick the plant, Midman is going to be able to very easily get the pick. Stim is also not helping. And Bro is able to win map 3. Very good plays from both sides, but Bros was able to come out on top, and that really shows how much they've grown. They have now, I believe, 3 NA teams. I'm not sure. Crazily, you may have to correct me. However, a very good plays from both sides. Bro came out on top. 7-2 first map, Bro, and 7-1 third map for Bro as well. I don't remember what second. 7-4 for IUI. Final scores, Midman doing very good, 16-4. Dr. Hawkinsworth and Dexter also doing pretty good. Not the greatest, though. Well, compared to Midman, but very, very good plays for both sides, and very good scrim.